I got really excited then. That was funny. Little bird swings on. Up there. Come on then. You said it was about to start. If she does it, oh, bloody hell. It's an eagle.
Right, good afternoon everybody, and welcome to the Flight of the Eagle show. I just remembered it's not actually afternoon yet, is it? It's 11:30, so we're a bit previous. Anyway, first bird that we're going to have a look at in this show is this rather magnificent eagle here. His name is Archie, and Archie is a bald eagle. Now most people, as soon as I say bald, immediately look at his head and see that, of course, Archie, well, he's got a lovely set of white feathers on his head and also on his bum as well. And Archie is never ever going to be bald. That's the domain really, I suppose, of vultures. But bald is an Old English word which means devoid of colour. So skewbald and piebald horses were white. When we swam across the ocean and discovered America, we saw an eagle with a white head and called it a bald eagle, and that's how the bald eagle got his name. And most people know this bird because he is America's national bird. Have we got any Americans in here today? Well, what a dance group that was. Normally they make a lot more noise than that, the Americans. Now, just to be fair to everybody in the world, the bald eagle also occurs in Canada. You were amazing. Alaska? Nobody ever gets out from Alaska. But actually, Archie is actually a British bald eagle.
Yay!
Well, that was absolutely pathetic as well. Now, Archie, having worked here all of his life, some 15 years, has a good idea what life is all about here at the castle. And he certainly doesn't get paid to sit around and look pretty, although you can understand why they chose him as their national bird. There was actually a couple of choices, actually. It was either a turkey or an eagle. Eagle won, anyway. And eagles have long been associated with status and power, and in the olden days, according to your social scale, you were allocated a bird of prey, and the eagle was always reserved for a king or an emperor. Now, Archie is actually working here today, and for Archie today, it's going to be a seriously bad day at the office. For me and you, I guess if the sun is shining, then we're sort of okay. But what determines whether Archie has a good day at the office or actually a bad day at the office is actually whether there's any fresh air moving around. So when you have an enormous wingspan coming up to somewhere near 6 feet across, and the wind is totally non-existent, or even worse, blowing down the hill, coming over the top of this yew tree hedge here, then Archie is always going to be having a bad day at the office. Normally, we have a beautiful wind that blows up in this direction, and Archie normally every day takes his turn and heads down the river road here, takes a left-hand turn, disappears around the back of the castle, and most people at that point think that we're never going to see Archie again. But he loves the castle, but he loves bits of the castle, and the castle here looks pretty cool to look at from our point of view, architecture, etc. But Archie is really only interested in that back wall on the castle. The wind hits the back wall of the castle, driving the air up into the sky, and that of course means that if Archie gets onto that, then he can use fresh air to help him fly around. And most of the time he actually flies around over the top of the mound here, just going round in big lazy circles. And what you have to understand is in the wild, if it's a fairly still day, then instead of seeing raptors soaring around the sky, riding on those currents of air, essentially what they do is sit on a telegraph pole or a dead branch of a tree and overlook a lake or a river, and there Archie will be waiting for something exciting to happen. And what he deems as exciting is a fish to arrive on the surface of the water, and then in one sweeping movement he flies straight towards the fish, drops these enormous big feet into the water, and his feet are about the size of my hands, but he's got almost like Velcro on the soles of his feet, which enables him to grab hold of slippery fish and pull them off the surface of the water, and essentially that would be job done for the day. So he might actually only be active for maybe about 10 minutes of any one day. Here Archie is going to have to work very, very, very hard to power these wings around today, and he really isn't enjoying it. But he is working and he is getting paid. And he's not getting paid in dollar bills or pound notes. He's actually getting paid in bits of chicken, bits of squirrel, small children left over from school groups, and essentially any meaty product. Now Archie, really, what are you doing, Archie, here? He's only ever killed one small child, by the way. That was Archie saying, look Dad, I'm absolutely cream cracker, you can do the rest of the show by yourself. And what he's actually doing, he's actually telling me that he's tired. Now my job is to work Archie and to make Archie super fit. He is a bird that has a tremendous amount of flying experience, although we fly birds here every day from February to November, most of the time our eagles are trained on the side of a mountain where they get to understand how to use the air, bending the primary feathers, those big feathers on the end of their wings, diverting the air underneath their wings, and that teaches them how to fly. And it's only when you're an expert pilot that you can then bring them into a fairly enclosed environment like this. And I know Archie is super fit. He's a bird that I've been flying all of his life for 15 years. And basically he's just run out of space there and decided to land on the audience and walk in and get the rest of his team. But if I reward Archie for flying 10 feet, landing on the floor and walking to me, then essentially for the rest of his life, that's exactly what he would do. So I have to push Archie and make him do as much work as I can. And by doing so every day, we end up with a super fit bird. So hopefully Archie will just come over the top of here for the last time, and you can give him a really big round of applause. And that will be Archie quite happy for the day. Now, he's getting about a pound of meat today here at the castle. If he was a wild eagle and caught an enormous big fish, then he would eat until he quite literally can't see his feet. And then maybe he wouldn't eat for 2 or 3 days after that. But that is Archie done. He's heading back down to where we keep the birds. And if you haven't discovered the birds here at Warwick Castle, you follow that eagle down the river road. And the next time that you see Archie, he'll be having a bath, washing the blood off his feet and off his beak, and he'll be very happy. And just for your information, he hasn't landed on a random person down there. Don't think that if you walk down there with your arm out that an eagle is going to land on it. He could see that that was James down there. He was holding what is the rest of his lunch, and I think he's having half of a squirrel to finish off with, and that will be Archie happy. And now that he's gone, we can move on to the next bird. And the next bird is Bruce, everybody. And Bruce is actually a Chilean eagle. Now, it's actually slightly smaller than the bald eagle, and this is actually a fairly nifty bird, actually, to be honest. He's actually the kind of bird that you would require if you were a falconer. Now, the thought of sort of maybe eating a rabbit or a pheasant or a duck for many of you, if it doesn't come in a plastic tray with cellophane on top of it, might fill you all with dread. But in yesteryear, most people were living on a diet of root vegetables, maybe a bit of mutton thrown in as protein. So anything that you caught was an addition to your diet, and that's what raptors are all about. In the wild, they catch an abundance of prey, usually smaller than themselves, but if you have a bird of prey sort of about this kind of size, about 3 pounds in weight, you can comfortably carry him around on your arm. He will happily fly from the fist at high speed and catch a rabbit at close range. But if you're lucky enough to be flying on the side of a hill, or it's a nice windy day, then the bird will soar around in the sky, gaining height. The higher up he is, the bigger his field of vision, and that means that when something does get up or moves underneath it, then they can come down out of the sky almost like a feathered bullet. They shut their wings by the side of their body and hurtle towards the earth at incredible high speed. Something like this, maybe 120 miles an hour. But there are birds that are much, much faster than that. A peregrine falcon can do 228 miles an hour towards the floor. And at the end of that, they strike their prey with their feet, and that's what it was all about. So we've been training birds for about 4,000 years. Not me personally, obviously, but it started off in the Far East in China, and gradually spread across Europe, and it has always been the domain, I suppose, of wealthy people. To be able to fly and hunt with a bird requires a lot of time. You have to work every day, but Before, I guess it was a royal sport, it was just a normal everyday means of trying to catch your food. And you have birds of prey, and if you had a bird of prey, then you really were cooking with gas. A bird like this could maybe, well, up in North Yorkshire, that's where our base is, I caught 19 rabbits in an afternoon, which is more than enough to feed you, your wife, and Auntie Gertie, the cat and the dog as well. And if you can't eat that much food, and you probably couldn't ever eat 19 rabbits in a day, you could swap it for services and materials, and that's what it was all about. But falconry sort of died out in the 18th century, and that's because the shotgun was invented, and of course it made it much easier to go out with a gun rather than actually train and fly a bird. So today we're not going to get the best out of Bruce, because what little wind we have is blowing down the hill, and Bruce is sort of only just getting to that point where he's being useful. His dad, on the other hand, was a real expert, and like Archie, would always be able to find a bit of fresh air moving around, and his dad used to go up to thousands of feet up in the sky, and we used to get him to do these amazing dives out of the sky. You're probably thinking, well, let's get his dad out, let's have a look at that then. Well, his dad is the only bird of prey that has ever been sacked from Warwick Castle. I am aware there's a lot of children that maybe don't know what being sacked is all about. Hopefully you will never know, but essentially it means that your services were no longer required. And it all went horribly wrong after 10 years of working and doing the job. 2 ducks that were eating a rye rita or a cream cracker under the benches here took the moment as there's an eagle hurtling towards the earth at 120 miles an hour to fly down to the river and actually have a drink. Well, about 80 feet up in the sky there was a massive explosion, and well, the eagle hit the back of the duck. There was a massive puff of feathers, and I was sort of thinking to myself, oh, the public aren't going to love this, but they were cheering with joy. They loved it. Honestly, there wasn't a person that didn't come up to me during the course of the day and say, that was amazing, can you get him to do it again? And the trouble is that there was about 500 children here that were emotionally scarred when the eagle carried on flying with the duck into the back of the tree here, and then he plucked it and ate it. Now, the wind was blowing up the hill. There was about 1 billion feathers on this duck. It was like it was snowing coming up here. There were feathers everywhere. And we were thinking, well, his dad's a professional. He knows the job inside and out. He's going to be back to work tomorrow. He'll have forgotten all about that. How wrong were we? Over the next 10 days, his dad caught 5 ducks, 2 jackdaws, a magpie, and a grass snake on the mound there in a 7-minute window of opportunity. So once you actually switch the bird on, then you simply can't switch them off again, and that's why we have 2 very different types of birds. We have hunting birds, and then we have demonstration birds. And that of course means that once the birds start hunting and catching things, then they are onto a different team. And we have maybe about 45, maybe 50 big eagles, I would imagine, all together, and all of those get to go up to North Yorkshire in winter time. In November, all of the birds head up to our base, and any of the young birds that we've bred, of course, get to learn how to fly, and they go into aviaries to breed. And this bird's dad, it turned into a disaster, of course, being sacked from Warwick Castle, but it did actually turn out okay, because we managed to find a female Chilean eagle called Heather. We put them together, and so far we've had 9 baby Chilean eagles, so that for us was great progress. I put Bruce inside that box there, and the reason I put him in there is because...
Who's that? Is that the same bird?
The next bird. The next bird is a bit like a pterodactyl. This is actually a bird called a lammergeier. A lammergeier is a really interesting bird. 2 years ago we were lucky enough to breed a lammergeier, and this is one of the rarest vultures in the world. But sadly, it doesn't look like a vulture, and that has not really